Welcome back to the Coins Numismatic series, where pocket change turns into history and hidden treasures come to life. Today we're diving into the world of rare and most valuable top 10 dirty wheat pennies, coins that have seen decades of circulation but still hold surprising value for collectors. From the legendary 1916 S and wartime 1943 cents, to key dates like 1939 to 1957 D. These humble Lincoln wheat pennies might be worth far more than you think. Stick around as we uncover their history, rarity, and real market values. 1916 S wheat penny coin dirty condition. The 1916 S wheat penny stands as one of those quietly powerful coins that doesn't need flashy appearance to command attention. Even in dirty condition, with heavy toning, grime buildup, or environmental wear, this coin carries a depth of history that instantly places it in a special category among collectors. Minted in San Francisco during a period when the United States was still neutral in World War I, but feeling its growing impact, this coin represents a world on the edge of transformation. Every mark, every layer of dirt, every bit of discoloration on a 1916 S penny can be seen as part of its journey through more than a century of history. The design of the coin, created by Victor David Brenner, is one of the most iconic in American coinage. On the obverse, the profile of Abraham Lincoln appears calm and dignified, a symbol of unity and leadership. On a dirty example, Lincoln's portrait may appear softened, with details like the hair and beard blending slightly into the surface, but collectors know to look beyond that. Even when darkened, the outline of the design often remains strong, and subtle details can still be appreciated under proper lighting. The reverse features the classic wheat ears framing the denomination, representing agricultural prosperity and national strength. In dirty condition, these wheat lines might seem faint or obscured, but they often remain visible enough to confirm the coin's integrity. In fact, many collectors prefer coins with natural toning and dirt rather than clean surfaces, because cleaning can strip away originality and reduce value significantly. The mintage of the 1916 S wheat penny was just over 22 million coins, which is relatively low compared to many other wheat pennies. This lower production number contributes to its desirability, especially among collectors trying to complete a full set. Even in circulated and dirty condition, the 1916 S is not just another penny. It is a key piece of a larger historical puzzle. When it comes to value, dirty examples can vary widely. A heavily worn and darkened coin with minimal visible detail might be worth a modest amount, but if the coin retains clear date visibility, decent lettering, and partial wheat lines, the value can increase significantly. The key factor is not just cleanliness, but originality. Collectors are cautious about coins that have been cleaned, polished, or altered, so a naturally dirty coin can sometimes be more desirable than a shiny, but improperly cleaned one. Error varieties for the 1916 S are not as widely recognized as some later wheat pennies, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. Die cracks, minor strike issues, and subtle variations in minting can all add interest. These features often require close inspection, especially on a dirty coin, but they can turn an ordinary-looking piece into something much more collectible. Collector interest in the 1916 S wheat penny remains strong, largely because of its combination of age, lower mintage, and historical context. It represents an era before the United States entered the war, a time when everyday objects like pennies were part of a rapidly changing world. Holding one, even in its dirtiest state, feels like holding a fragment of that moment in time. What truly sets this coin apart is the way it bridges past and present. It reminds collectors that value is not always about perfection. Sometimes, the scratches, the dirt, and the wear are exactly what make a coin special. They tell a story that no mint state example ever could. 1939 wheat penny coin dirty condition. The 1939 wheat penny tells a very different story, one rooted in resilience, recovery, and the gradual rebuilding of a nation emerging from the Great Depression. By the time this coin was minted, the United States was beginning to regain its footing, but the effects of economic hardship were still deeply felt. Coins from this era often show heavy circulation, and dirty examples are incredibly common, but within that commonness lies a unique kind of appeal. At first glance, a dirty 1939 wheat penny might not seem impressive. It may appear dark brown, unevenly toned, or even slightly corroded. But experienced collectors understand that these characteristics are often signs of authenticity and long-term circulation rather than damage. These coins were used daily, passed from person to person, carrying value in a time when every cent truly mattered. The design remains the same as earlier wheat pennies, with Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the wheat ears on the reverse. However, by 1939, minting techniques had improved, and many coins from this year were struck with relatively good detail. Even in dirty condition, it is often possible to see clear lettering, defined facial features, and recognizable wheat stalks. The mintage of the 1939 wheat penny was significantly higher than that of the 1916 with over 300 million coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint alone, along with additional coins from Denver and San Francisco. This high production means the coin is not rare, but it also means it was widely used, increasing the likelihood of finding examples with interesting wear patterns and toning. Dirty condition coins from 1939 often display a range of colors, from deep brown to almost black, depending on environmental exposure. Some may even show hints of red beneath the surface, indicating that the original copper luster is still present in protected areas. These subtle details can make a big difference to collectors who appreciate originality. In terms of market value, most dirty 1939 wheat pennies are affordable, making them a popular choice for beginners. However, coins with strong detail, clear dates, and original surfaces can command higher prices, especially if they show minimal damage beyond natural wear. The presence of any error or variety can also increase value. Speaking of errors, while the 1939 wheat penny is not famous for major varieties, there are still minor errors that collectors look for. These include double dies, repunched mint marks, and die cracks. Identifying these features on a dirty coin can be challenging, but it adds an element of excitement and discovery to the collecting process. Collector interest in the 1939 wheat penny is driven not by rarity, but by relatability. It is a coin that represents everyday life during a critical period in American history. It tells a story of perseverance, of people making do with what they had, and of a nation slowly rebuilding itself. What makes dirty examples particularly appealing is their honesty. They have not been altered or cleaned to appear more valuable. They show exactly what they have been through, and that authenticity resonates with collectors. In a world where perfection is often prized, these coins offer something different, a connection to reality, to history, and to the passage of time. In the end, the 1939 wheat penny proves that value is not always about rarity or condition. Sometimes, it's about the story a coin tells and the journey it has taken. And in that sense, even the dirtiest coin can be one of the most meaningful pieces in a collection. 1940 wheat penny coin dirty condition. The 1940 wheat penny is one of those coins that many collectors overlook at first glance, especially when it appears in dirty, darkened, or heavily circulated condition. But once you take a closer look, this coin begins to reveal a fascinating story tied to a world standing on the edge of massive change. Minted just before the United States officially entered World War II, the 1940 penny represents a time of industrial buildup, economic recovery, and growing global tension. Even in its dirtiest form, this coin carries the weight of that moment. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, had already become a staple of American coinage by 1940. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln is portrayed in a calm, dignified profile. In dirty condition, the finer details of Lincoln's hair and coat may appear softened or blended into the surface, but the overall portrait usually remains identifiable. The reverse features the classic wheat ears framing the denomination, symbolizing prosperity and national strength. Even when dirt and oxidation obscure the surface, these wheat lines often remain partially visible, allowing collectors to assess the coin structure. The mintage of the 1940 wheat penny is quite high, with the Philadelphia Mint producing over 586 million coins. Additional coins were struck in Denver and San Francisco, making this a very common issue overall. However, this high mintage also means these coins were widely circulated, and many surviving examples today are found in dirty, worn condition. That widespread use adds character. Every scratch and layer of grime reflects decades of real-world handling. Dirty condition coins from 1940 often show deep brown or even nearly black toning. This is typically the result of oxidation and long-term exposure to air, moisture, and human contact. While this may make the coin look less appealing to a casual observer, experienced collectors often value this natural toning because it indicates the coin has not been cleaned or artificially altered. In fact, cleaning a coin can significantly reduce its value, so original, dirty surfaces are often preferred. When it comes to market value, most 1940 wheat pennies in dirty condition are modestly priced, especially if they show heavy wear. However, coins that retain strong details, such as a clear date, readable lettering, and visible wheat stock lines, can command higher prices. Coins with sharper strikes or less wear beneath the dirt are particularly desirable. In some cases, a dirty coin with excellent underlying detail can be more valuable than a clean coin with similar wear. Error varieties add another layer of interest to the 1940 wheat penny. While not famous for major errors, collectors still look for off-center strikes, die cracks, and subtle doubling. These features can sometimes be hidden beneath dirt and toning, making them exciting discoveries for those willing to examine their coins closely. Even minor minting flaws can increase a coin's appeal and value. Collector interest in the 1940 wheat penny is driven by its accessibility and historical context. It is a coin that almost anyone can find, yet it still offers opportunities for discovery and appreciation. For beginners, it provides an affordable entry into wheat penny collecting. For experienced collectors, it offers the challenge of finding high-quality examples or interesting varieties. What makes the dirty 1940 wheat penny truly special is its authenticity. It has not been preserved in perfect condition or hidden away in a collection for decades. Instead, it has lived a life, passing through countless hands, witnessing everyday transactions, and surviving through time. That sense of history is something no mint-state coin can fully replicate. 1951 D-Wheat Penny Coin Dirty Condition. The 1951 D-Wheat penny represents a different chapter in American history, one of post-war growth, stability, and industrial expansion. Minted at the Denver Mint, this coin comes from a time when the United States was emerging as a global superpower and everyday life was becoming more prosperous. Yet even in this period of progress, coins like the 1951 D were heavily circulated, often ending up in the dirty, worn condition that collectors encounter today. The design remains consistent with earlier wheat pennies, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the wheat ears on the reverse. By 1951, minting technology had improved significantly, resulting in generally well-struck coins. Even in dirty condition, many 1951 D pennies retain clear details, including sharp lettering and defined wheat lines. This makes them particularly appealing to collectors who know how to look beyond surface appearance. The Denver Mint produced over 625 million 1951 D wheat pennies, making it a very common issue. Because of this high mintage, the coin is not considered rare, but that doesn't mean it lacks value or interest. In fact, its abundance makes it an excellent coin for collectors to study, especially when learning how to identify condition, toning, and potential errors. Dirty examples of the 1951 D often display a range of tones, from medium brown to very dark, almost black surfaces. These colors result from years of circulation and exposure to different environments. While some collectors prefer bright, red copper coins, others appreciate the natural, aged appearance of a dirty penny. It reflects authenticity and ensures that the coin has not been cleaned or tampered with. Market value for a dirty 1951 D-Wheat penny is generally low, especially in heavily worn condition. However, coins with strong underlying detail can still attract interest and command slightly higher prices. The key factors include the clarity of the date and mint mark, the sharpness of Lincoln's profile, and the visibility of the wheat stalks. Coins that appear dirty but still retain crisp details are often considered hidden gems. Error varieties for the 1951 D include minor doubled dies, die cracks, and other small minting imperfections. While these errors are not extremely rare, they add an extra layer of excitement for collectors. Finding such features on a dirty coin can be particularly rewarding, as they are often overlooked by casual observers. Collector interest in the 1951 D wheat penny is rooted in its accessibility and historical significance. It represents a time of growth and optimism, yet its worn and dirty examples remind us that it was still a working coin, used in everyday transactions. This combination of history and practicality makes it a meaningful addition to any collection. What truly defines the 1951 D in dirty condition is its balance between commonality and character. It may not be rare, but it carries the marks of time, the evidence of use, and the authenticity that collectors value. It serves as a reminder that even the most ordinary coins can hold extraordinary stories, waiting to be uncovered by those who take the time to look closely. 1957 D wheat penny coin dirty condition. The 1957 D wheat penny may appear to be just another common coin at first glance, especially when found in dirty, darkened, or heavily circulated condition. But for collectors who truly understand the wheat cent series, this coin represents something far more meaningful. It is part of the final chapter of one of the most iconic designs in American coin history. Just 2 years before the wheat reverse was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959, the 1957 D stands as one of the last widely circulated examples of a design that had been in use for nearly half a century. The coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design originally introduced in 1909 and created by Victor David Brenner. By 1957, this design had become deeply embedded in American culture. Even in dirty condition, Lincoln's profile usually remains recognizable, though finer details such as hair strands, cheek contours, and coat lines may appear softened due to wear and grime. The reverse displays the classic wheat ears, symbolizing prosperity and agricultural strength, a design that collectors often associate with nostalgia and historical continuity. In dirty examples, the wheat lines may be partially obscured, but they are often still visible enough to confirm the coin's identity and condition. The 1957 D was struck at the Denver Mint, with a massive mintage exceeding 1.05 billion coins. This extremely high production number makes it one of the most common wheat pennies ever produced. Because of this, the coin circulated heavily, and many surviving examples today are found in worn and dirty condition. While this may reduce its value in a strict sense, it actually enhances its storytelling aspect. These coins were used daily, passed through countless hands, and became part of everyday life during the late 1950s. Dirty 1957 D pennies often display deep brown, dark chocolate, or even nearly black toning. This coloration is typically the result of oxidation and long-term exposure to air, moisture, and handling. Some coins may also show uneven toning, with lighter areas where the original copper color still peeks through. Collectors often appreciate this natural aging process because it indicates that the coin has not been cleaned or artificially altered. In fact, cleaning a coin can strip away its original surface and significantly reduce its value. So many collectors prefer a naturally dirty coin over a polished one. In terms of market value, most 1957 D wheat pennies in dirty condition are relatively inexpensive due to their high mintage and common availability. However, value can increase if the coin retains strong detail beneath the dirt. Clear dates, sharp lettering, and visible wheat stalk lines are key factors that collectors look for. Coins that appear dirty but still have a solid structure and minimal damage beyond normal work can be more desirable than they initially seem. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1957 wheat penny series is the presence of the famous double-die obverse variety. Although that variety is typically associated with the Philadelphia Mint rather than Denver. Still, collectors often examine 1957 D coins closely in hopes of finding minor doubling, die cracks, or other minting anomalies. While major errors are rare for the Denver issue, small imperfections can still add uniqueness and collector appeal. Collector interest in the 1957 D wheat penny is strongly influenced by its position in history. As one of the last wheat cents ever produced, it marks the end of an era that began in 1909. For many collectors, completing a wheat penny set means including these final year coins, and even dirty examples are valued as part of that narrative. What truly makes the dirty 1957 D wheat penny special is its symbolism. It represents the closing years of a design that witnessed some of the most important events in American history, from world wars to economic shifts and cultural changes. Even in worn and dirty condition, this coin carries that legacy forward. In the end, the 1957 D wheat penny proves that even the most common coins can hold deep meaning. It reminds collectors that value is not always about rarity or perfection. Sometimes, it's about history, authenticity, and the journey a coin has taken. And in that sense, a dirty coin is not something to overlook. It's something to appreciate, study, and preserve as a genuine piece of the past. 1941 wheat penny coin dirty condition. The 1941 wheat penny is one of those coins that seems extremely common at first glance, especially when found in dirty, heavily circulated condition. But once you begin to understand the context behind this coin, it becomes much more interesting. Minted just before the United States officially entered World War II, the 1941 penny represents a time when the country was preparing for a global conflict that would reshape the world. Even though the coin itself is common, its connection to this important period gives it a deeper significance. The design of the 1941 wheat penny follows the classic style introduced in 1909 by Victor David Brenner. On the obverse, you see the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, symbolizing unity and leadership. In dirty condition, Lincoln's portrait may appear softened, with less visible detail in the hair and facial features, but the overall design remains recognizable. The reverse features the iconic wheat ears, which represent growth and prosperity. Even when covered in dirt or dark toning, these wheat stalks often remain partially visible, allowing collectors to evaluate the coin's condition. The mintage of the 1941 wheat penny is very high, with over 887 million coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone. Additional coins were produced in Denver and San Francisco, making this one of the most widely circulated wheat pennies. Because of this, it is very common to find 1941 pennies in dirty condition, as they were used extensively in everyday transactions. Dirty 1941 pennies often show deep brown or nearly black surfaces due to oxidation and long-term exposure. While this may seem unattractive to some, experienced collectors often prefer these natural surfaces because they indicate the coin has not been cleaned. Cleaning a coin can damage its original surface and significantly reduce its value, so a naturally dirty coin can actually be more desirable than a shiny but altered one. In terms of market value, most 1941 wheat pennies in dirty condition are worth only a small amount, especially if they are heavily worn. However, coins that retain strong details beneath the dirt, such as a clear date, readable lettering, and visible wheat lines, can be more valuable. The key is originality and detail, not cleanliness. Error varieties add another layer of interest to the 1941 wheat penny. Collectors often look for doubled dies, off-center strikes, and die cracks. While major errors are not extremely common, they do exist, and finding one on a dirty coin can be an exciting discovery. Because dirt can sometimes hide these features, careful examination is important. Collector interest in the 1941 wheat penny is steady, mainly because it is affordable and easy to find. It is often one of the first coins that new collectors add to their collections. However, for more experienced collectors, the challenge lies in finding high-quality examples or coins with unique characteristics. What makes the dirty 1941 wheat penny special is its authenticity. It is not a coin that has been preserved in perfect condition. It is a coin that has lived through history. It has been part of everyday life during a critical time in the world, and that gives it a story that goes beyond its appearance. Every mark and layer of dirt is a reminder of that journey. 1943 wheat penny coin dirty condition. The 1943 wheat penny is one of the most fascinating and unique coins in the entire wheat cent series, and it stands out immediately, even in dirty condition. Unlike most wheat pennies, which are made of copper, the 1943 penny was struck in steel coated with zinc. This change was made during World War II, when copper was needed for military equipment and ammunition. As a result, the 1943 penny represents a direct connection between everyday coinage and the war effort. At first glance, a 1943 penny looks very different from other wheat cents. Instead of the typical brown or reddish color, it has a silvery appearance. However, in dirty condition, These coins often appear dull gray, darkened, or even slightly rusted. This is because the steel core can react to moisture and environmental exposure, leading to corrosion over time. Rust spots and discoloration are common on circulated examples. The design remains the same as other wheat pennies, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and wheat ears on the reverse. Despite the change in material, the overall look of the coin is consistent with earlier issues. In dirty condition, the steel surface may obscure some details, but the design is usually still clear enough to identify. The mintage of the 1943 wheat penny is extremely high, with over 1 billion coins produced across all three mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. This makes the coin very common, but its unique composition keeps it interesting and highly collectible. In terms of market value, most 1943 steel pennies in dirty condition are worth a modest amount. However, condition plays a significant role. Coins with less corrosion and better preserved surfaces are more desirable. One important thing collectors always check is whether a 1943 penny might actually be a rare copper version. A small number of 1943 pennies were mistakenly struck in copper, and these coins are extremely valuable, sometimes worth thousands or even more. While finding one is rare, it is always worth checking. Error varieties also make the 1943 penny exciting. Collectors look for doubled dies, off-center strikes, and other minting anomalies. Because the coin is made of steel, it can also show unique wear patterns and damage that differ from copper coins. Collector interest in the 1943 wheat penny is very strong, not because it is rare, but because it is different. It represents a unique moment in history when even something as small as a penny was affected by global events. It is a reminder of how deeply the war effort impacted everyday life. Dirty examples of the 1943 penny tell an even richer story. The corrosion, discoloration, and wear reflect decades of exposure and use. While these factors may reduce the coin's value compared to a pristine example, they add character and authenticity. What truly makes the 1943 wheat penny special is its story. It is not just a coin, it is a piece of wartime history. Even in its dirtiest condition, it stands as a symbol of resourcefulness and adaptation during one of the most challenging periods in modern history. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. Sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins turn out to be the most extraordinary. 1952 D-Wheat Penny Coin Dirty Condition. The 1952 D-Wheat penny is one of those coins that many collectors first encounter in exactly the kind of condition we're talking about today: dark, worn, and covered with years of natural grime. At first glance, it may seem like just another common coin with little to offer, but once you begin to understand its background and examine it closely, this penny starts to reveal why even dirty coins deserve serious attention. Minted in Denver during the early 1950s, the 1952 D-Wheat penny comes from a period of post-war expansion in the United States. The country was experiencing economic growth, industrial strength, and a sense of optimism following the end of World War II. Coins like this were produced in massive quantities to support a booming economy, and as a result, they circulated heavily in everyday life. That heavy use is exactly why so many examples today are found in dirty, worn condition. They were constantly handled, exchanged, and used in real-world transactions. The design remains the classic wheat cent style created by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. Even in dirty condition, Lincoln's profile is usually easy to recognize, though finer details like hair strands and coat lines may be softened by wear. The reverse displays the wheat ears, which symbolize prosperity and agricultural heritage. On a dirty coin, these wheat lines might appear faint or partially hidden, but they are often still visible enough to evaluate the coin's condition. The mintage of the 1952 D-Wheat penny was extremely high, with over 746 million coins struck at the Denver Mint. This makes it a very common coin in general, but finding one with strong details, even under layers of dirt, can still be rewarding. Because of the high mintage, collectors often use this coin as a reference point when learning how to grade and evaluate circulated wheat pennies. Dirty examples of the 1952 D often show deep brown or dark chocolate tones, sometimes with uneven coloration caused by environmental exposure. This natural toning is actually preferred by many collectors because it indicates the coin has not been cleaned or altered. Cleaning can strip away the coin's original surface and significantly reduce its value, so a dirty but original coin is often more desirable than a shiny, cleaned one. In terms of market value, most 1952 D-wheat pennies in dirty condition are relatively inexpensive, especially if they show heavy wear. However, coins with clear dates, strong lettering, and visible wheat stock details can command slightly higher prices. The key is to look beyond the dirt and focus on the underlying structure of the coin. A dirty coin with sharp details can be a hidden gem. Error varieties for the 1952 D include minor double dies, die cracks, and other small minting imperfections. While these are not extremely rare, they add an extra layer of interest for collectors. Finding such an error on a dirty coin can be particularly exciting, as it may have gone unnoticed for years. Collector interest in the 1952 D-wheat penny is steady, largely because of its accessibility and historical context. It represents a time of growth and stability, and even though it is common, it still offers opportunities for discovery. For beginners, it is an affordable entry point into coin collecting. For experienced collectors, it provides the challenge of finding high-quality examples or interesting varieties. What truly makes the dirty 1952 D-wheat penny special is its authenticity. It is a coin that has lived a full life, carrying the marks of time and use. Those marks are not flaws. They are part of the coin's story, a reminder of the countless transactions and moments it has been part of. 1953 D-wheat penny coin dirty condition. The 1953 D-wheat penny continues the story of post-war America, representing a time when the nation was firmly established as a global power and everyday life was becoming more modern and prosperous. Like the 1952 D, this coin was produced in large numbers and circulated widely, which is why so many examples today are found in dirty, worn condition. But beneath that layer of grime lies a coin with both historical significance and collector appeal. The design is consistent with the rest of the wheat penny series, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the wheat ears on the reverse. Created by Victor David Brenner, this design had become one of the most recognizable in American coinage by the 1950s. Even in dirty condition, the overall design remains clear, and collectors can often identify key details with careful observation. The mintage of the 1953 D-wheat penny was also very high, with over 700 million coins produced at the Denver Mint. This makes it a common coin, but as with many high mintage issues, the challenge lies in finding examples with strong details and minimal damage. Dirty coins often hide their true condition, so collectors must look closely to determine their quality. Dirty 1953 D pennies typically show dark brown or nearly black surfaces, often with uneven toning. This is the result of years of circulation and exposure to different environments. While some collectors may prefer brighter coins, many appreciate the natural look of a dirty penny, as it indicates originality. A coin that has not been cleaned retains its authentic surface, which is an important factor in determining value. In terms of market value, most dirty 1953 D-wheat pennies are modestly priced. However, coins with strong underlying detail, such as a clear date, sharp lettering, and visible wheat lines, can be more desirable. As always, originality is key. A dirty coin with good detail is often more valuable than a cleaned coin with similar wear. Error varieties for the 1953 D include minor doubling, die cracks, and other small minting flaws. While these are not widely known, they can add collector interest and sometimes increase value. Careful examination is required to spot these features, especially on a dirty coin where details may be obscured. Collector interest in the 1953 D-wheat penny is driven by its role as part of the final decade of the wheat cent series. Coins from this period are often collected as part of complete sets, and even dirty examples are valued for their authenticity. They represent the everyday currency of a growing nation, and their worn condition reflects their extensive use. In the end, the 1953 D-wheat penny reminds us that coin collecting is not just about finding perfect specimens. It is about appreciating the journey of each coin, understanding its history, and recognizing the value that lies beneath the surface. Even in its dirtiest condition, this coin has something meaningful to offer. 1954 D-Wheat Penny Coin Dirty Condition. The 1954 D-Wheat penny is one of those coins that perfectly represents the idea that even the most common-looking pieces can hold real historical depth and collector interest. When found in dirty condition, darkened, worn, and carrying decades of circulation, this coin becomes more than just a 1-cent piece. It becomes a small but powerful reminder of everyday life in mid-20th century America, a time when the country was growing rapidly and coins like this were constantly in motion. Minted in Denver during a period of economic expansion and stability, the 1954 D-Wheat penny comes from an era when coin production was at a high level to meet the needs of a busy and growing population. These coins were used everywhere, from grocery stores to gas stations, and because of that, many surviving examples today show heavy wear and natural dirt accumulation. That dirty condition is not damage in the eyes of experienced collectors. Instead, it is evidence of a long and authentic journey through time. The design of the coin remains the classic wheat cent style created by Victor David Brenner. On the obverse, the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln is featured, symbolizing leadership and unity. Even in dirty condition, Lincoln's profile is usually easy to recognize, though finer details such as the hair texture and cheek definition may be softened by years of wear. The reverse features the iconic wheat ears, representing prosperity and agricultural strength. On a heavily circulated and dirty coin, these wheat lines may appear faint, but they often remain visible enough for collectors to evaluate the coin's condition. The mintage of the 1954 D-Wheat penny was very high, with over 251 million coins struck at the Denver Mint. While this number is lower than some earlier 1950s issues, it still places the coin firmly in the common category. However, high mintage does not mean low interest. In fact, coins like the 1954 D are widely collected because they are accessible, affordable, and still offer opportunities for finding better-than-average examples. Dirty 1954 D pennies often display deep brown, dark chocolate, or even nearly black tones. These colors develop naturally over time due to oxidation and environmental exposure. Some coins may show uneven toning, with lighter areas where the original copper color still peeks through. This kind of natural surface is actually preferred by many collectors because it indicates that the coin has not been cleaned or altered. Cleaning a coin can remove its original surface and significantly reduce its value, so a naturally dirty coin is often more desirable. In terms of market value, most 1954 D-Wheat pennies in dirty condition are relatively inexpensive, especially if they are heavily worn. However, coins that retain strong details beneath the dirt can be more valuable than they appear at first glance. Collectors look for clear dates, sharp lettering, and visible wheat stalk lines. A dirty coin with solid underlying detail can stand out and attract interest, particularly among those who appreciate original, uncleaned pieces. Error varieties add another layer of excitement to the 1954 D-Wheat penny. While not known for major headline-grabbing errors, there are still minor double dies, die cracks, and other minting imperfections that collectors actively search for. These features can sometimes be hidden beneath dirt and toning, making careful examination essential. Discovering an error on a dirty coin can be especially rewarding, as it often means the coin has gone unnoticed for years. Collector interest in the 1954 D-Wheat penny is closely tied to its role in the final decade of the wheat cent series. Coins from the early to mid-1950s are often collected as part of complete sets, and even dirty examples are valued for their authenticity and connection to everyday history. They represent a time when coins were not just collectibles, but essential tools of daily life. What truly makes the dirty 1954 D-Wheat penny special is its balance between simplicity and significance. It may not be rare or flashy, but it carries the marks of time, the evidence of use, and the authenticity that collectors value. Each scratch, each darkened area, each sign of wear tells a story of where the coin has been and how it has been used. In the end, the 1954 D-Wheat penny reminds us that coin collecting is not just about finding perfect, shiny examples. It is about appreciating history in its most genuine form. Even in dirty condition, this coin holds value, not just in monetary terms, but in the story it carries and the connection it provides to the past.